Hey, hi all. This is Preyash here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So just we'll wait for 2 minutes, then we'll start the session.
Yeah,
Hope.
Preyash, you are audible.
Thanks.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thanks. Hi all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Preyash Vrat. I am working as a senior cloud architect. I do have a close to 15 years of experience. I am from the application side of the cloud, and I have started my career as a .NET developer, and later I have upgraded myself as a senior cloud architect. And we do have two guest speakers, Rajiv Kumar Singh and Sadaf Hassan. They are from the integration background, started as a BStock developer and upgraded themselves as a iPaaS architect. So we do have a Azure development group in Telegram, which consists of 1,500 members, 1,900 members. And these sessions we are conducting every Tuesday, 10 o'clock IST and 12:30 EST. In this, we discuss different features or services about the Azure. In the past, we have already conducted two of the sessions of the Logic Apps, which is an integration platform as a service offering from Azure. And today is the third session. We are going to discuss about the various features of Logic Apps. Over to Rajiv.
Yeah, thanks, Priyas. Good evening and good morning. In today's sessions, we are going to cover introduction to serverless architecture, and we'll go through the demo of Azure Functions. So here's the agenda. We'll discuss this a new term, serverless. We'll also discuss about what is serverless. We'll quickly go through and understand in serverless what are the different components offered by Microsoft, in which we today will cover in details Azure Functions. We have other things also, logic apps and event grid, which we will have a brief discussion. We'll also see how Azure Functions and logic apps work together and provide very good powerful applications. And finally, we'll see which area, what are the use cases for Azure Functions. Then we will have a demo followed by Azure Functions and Azure Functions with Logic Apps. So this is our overall agenda. We'll try to cover in the given time. So okay, let's start with the new term, this serverless. So why this serverless we are talking about? So let's see the evolution of our application platform. Few years back, we were happy with our on-premises work and all, but gradually the evolution of the cloud came into the picture, and then we were happy with infrastructure as a service. But it has own its limitation, drawbacks, and pain, where we had to still manage the server and all. However, it was a little bit cheap than your on-premises and all, but still we were focusing other than business logic, we were also maintaining the servers and all. So then came a new evolution with the term of platform as a service, where we were focusing on platform only and business logic of our application and not maintaining the servers and all. However, in this past, few challenges as well. Like for example, we were also talking when we were talking about PaaS, we were talking about how many servers do we need, what is the right size of our servers, or which application service plan we have to go for. And also we were still worried about whether we are utilizing our server or our service plan or not. More importantly, we were also worried about how to scale our application. Although there was features like we can do auto scaling on the basis of some automation or some parameters, but still our focus was on this particular four items apart from your business logic. So the new because of this requirement and these challenges, a new requirement came up, and then Microsoft introduced the concept of serverless architecture. Now, what is this serverless architecture? Serverless architecture, now we are not going to focus, or we are not going to concentrate on these four important questions. Like we should not worry about the environment provisioning, or what application service plan we should take, or how do we scale. It's not our headache now, it will be handled by Azure and Microsoft. So this is the very high level concept of serverless. And in serverless, we have seen the example of logic apps. It was an example of serverless. Today we are going to have introduction for Azure Functions as well. So do you have any questions on this particular slide? Moving to next slide. Now the question is, where does this...
Rajiv, sorry to interrupt you. We do have a question over there. So probably you can answer it. If required, even I can pitch in. The question is from the Managovinda. Is it a SaaS offering?
No, that's what in this particular picture we are going to offer. Like what you said, SaaS offering.
Yeah, I will just repeat again the question what he has asked. His question is serverless a SaaS offering?
No. It is not a server software as a service offering. We can say like for example, it has different categories. It comes under your PaaS only. And for example, as of now, the different components in serverless are Azure Functions, Logic Apps, and your Event Grid. So for example, we can say once we are going to have a discussion on Azure Functions, for that we can say it is a function as a service. Sometimes it is referred as a function as a service. So in that term we can say like that.
So I hope I just adding to Rajiv. So the question was there that is it a serverless or SaaS offering or not? So basically just let me define the SaaS, software as a service. In software as a service, what will happen that completely application and each and everything will be done by the provider, which can be a SaaS provider. They'll be doing it. Probably they may go ahead and customize it. So the best example is Office 365, which is a SaaS offering. So everything is done from their side, and they are going to make little changes, or maybe a Salesforce. They go ahead and make some changes, and users uses it, and they are paying on the basis of the users. So that is about the SaaS. Now coming back, how serverless is related to SaaS or PaaS. So serverless is not at all a SaaS offering. It is a PaaS offering, platform as a service. So not only the serverless or the functions as a service, we do have multiple services which are the offering under the PaaS umbrella. It can be Active Directory as a service, it can be identity as a service, or it can be a database as a service. So multiple services which we do have. So ultimately the PaaS is nothing but is a managed service, and serverless is also one of the example of it.
Yeah, right. Very well said, Piyush. So serverless comes under, you can say it is a one step ahead from PaaS, where we are talking about a serverless architecture. So now, as I said, now you'll be able to build your application faster with your serverless architecture. And idea, as I said, we had few questions in platform as a service, like what kind of server we have to opt for, how to do scaling and all. Now in serverless architecture, we don't have to worry about all those parameters. We need to only focus on the business logic or on the delivering services faster to their customers. So one general questions people ask, what do you mean by serverless? Means there is no server? So it's not like that. Like of course the idea is serverless, but still your whatever you deploy, your Azure functions, your logic apps, it will be deployed in some server only, but it will be managed by your Microsoft Azure. We will be not focusing on any of the infra parameters or scaling parameters. So maybe that is the reason Microsoft has given a name like serverless. You only focus on your business logic, you create the function or your logic apps and you deploy it, and you pay for what the execution time you are doing that. So that is the one beauty of your serverless architecture. So do you have any questions on this particular slide? Okay.
So
So
Rajiv,
moving.
Rajiv, sorry to interrupt you again. So we do have a question over there. They are asking about the serverless can be example of serverless. They are asking. So probably you are going to cover it in the upcoming
Yeah, of
slides.
course. Yeah. So as I said, so in our previous sessions, we covered logic apps, right? We are going to cover today Azure functions and then event grip. So these are the examples of your serverless architecture. Okay. Hope I have answered this question. The examples of serverless. Okay, so let's discuss about serverless, the future platform for your next generation. Now, once we said, okay, we are going ahead with serverless because it has own benefits, like we are not going to concentrate on the infra, which was the pain point of platform as a service. And now we are only going to concentrate on the business logic. And the most important thing for serverless is you pay for the only execution time, like the time for which your function has been executed, or for example for logic apps the number of action has been executed, you're going to pay for that particular action only. So that is the most important beauty of your serverless architecture. So now once we decide, okay, few use case scenarios we are going to cover in serverless. Now the next question is, how do I architect my application to become a serverless? So that is a very good question. And this particular thing, of course, it comes to everyone. Like if there is a new technologies or new platform you are adopting, so of course this question will arise, like how do I architect, what are the best practices and all. So these particular use case scenarios I'm going to cover in upcoming slides, where I'll show you what are the use case scenarios and how do you architect your application to use your serverless architecture. So do you have any questions on this aspect?
Yeah. So in the chat window, we do have got a question from Jayant, where he's asking is serverless can be understood as a Azure SQL, where the SQL server is created logically only. So do you want me to answer this question?
You can go ahead. I can add on that.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so Jayant, basically whenever we are talking about Azure SQL, the recent version is Azure SQL V12. So basically it is a managed service, and we do have multiple managed service, and one of them is a Azure SQL. And the proper name of Azure SQL V12 in terms of service, it is called database as a service. It is not a serverless architecture. The meaning of serverless architecture is that we are exempted from the maintaining the server as well as the maintaining the scalability of it. So when we are talking about the multiple server, multiple applications, when we are talking about either it can be web app, it can be Azure SQL V12 or multiple service we are using it, we need to handle the scalability either manually or we are doing it automatically, but still we are owning it and we are paying for it. Definitely we do have a Azure SQL, we do have some advisor and all where they are telling, but ultimately it is us which are making it, the number of the instances we are creating it. So you are owning it and you are handling it. But when we are talking in terms of serverless, the difference of serverless is that we do not have to handle the scaling at all. It is pay and use at all. So you are going to use the service for a second and you are going to pay for a second. It is not like the other services whether you are using it or not and you are going to pay it. That this is the way we can compare between the other PaaS service and the serverless services. So you want to add something, Rajiv?
No, well said. So that clearly differentiates between your Azure SQL and your server thing. So I understand this question is coming up. So now next slide, I am going to discuss the definition of this serverless. What is the definition and all. So I'm moving to next slide. So in the previous slides, we discussed why this serverless architecture into the picture, why this new term has popped up for us. So now let's discuss what is this serverless. Now, as Preyash added in his comments, like it is like an abstraction of server. We are not going to manage the infrastructure part at all. Not even we should be worried about and all. So, at very high level, you can say it's serverless is something where there is abstraction of servers. You are not going to manage server. It is event driven. So anything which is reactive, anything which is having some event, you can handle this in serverless architecture. That we are going to discuss in the case. What are the different events or how it can react on that. And also it is something like micro billing. Like for example, as Preyash added, like it is basis on the execution time for which the function is running. You are going to pay for that. It could be your seconds as well. So you are going to pay only for those particular period. Yeah. So so that is the core idea behind. So one question I can see like this context only, why serverless architecture? So in the previous slides, in the beginning I said like in the past there are few drawbacks, right? You have to still worry about your servers. You have to think of which service plan I should take. You are also worried about your scaling part. Although you can do scaling, auto scaling, and then there are multiple features. You can do automation and all, but still you are worried about all those things. And also you are also worried like in case you have taken a service plan, maybe whatever premium plan and all, you are also worried whether I am utilizing this particular service plan or not. So the answer is serverless, where you don't have to worry at all about all these parameters. So one step ahead, you can see the pain of PaaS is being resolved by your serverless, and you concentrate on your business logic. You develop your code, you deploy it, that's it. And no need to worry about your scaling part and all. It will be taken care by your Azure. And the most important thing, cost effective. Of course, you have to pay only for what has been executed, maybe the time for Azure functions, actions for your logic apps, and so on. So that is why you need next level thing, serverless thing. And these are the advantages, or you can say comparisons between your PaaS and serverless architecture. Hope I have answered this question.
So just adding to Rajiv, sometime before in Azure we had hourly billing. Even in AWS also we had hourly billing, but Google was second by billing. So just to add it, just to think that sometime before we could have used any of the services maybe for 1 second or 1 minute or 2 minutes, but finally you are going to pay it for 1 hour. But at the same time we do had a FaaS over there, which is Azure Functions Service, or it can be serverless, which we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides. So we could have paid only for 1 second or 5 seconds or probably 1 or 2 minutes, and you are going to pay for only 2 minutes. So maybe probably the difference of the 60 minutes, 2 minutes maybe less at one time, but definitely when we are talking at that enterprise level, it matters a lot. So ultimately the benefit of using the serverless, you are going to save you money, and you do not have to talk about the effort required to manage it. So not only that, you can see that as on today multiple enterprise, what happens that whenever they are doing the auto scaling, probably they need to get some email or they need some approval and all. So multiple huge problem comes in managing it. But if you have architecture serverless, where as on when it is required, you are using it and you are paying it. So you are exempted from the lot of the manual job as well as automated job or the human intervention. So these are the benefits of using the serverless architecture, and definitely we are going to cover multiple things in upcoming slides.
Yeah, correct. As Priyu said, most important in one words you can say, or 2 points you can say, all the overheadache of infrastructure management in past, not infrastructure, you can say the plan which you are going to opt for and scaling and all those things, it has been reduced in, I mean, it has been eliminated in serverless. And serverless, now Azure is going to manage your any given workload. They promise they are going to scale from zero to handle tens of thousands of concurrent functions within seconds, and that is very fast. And you have to pay only for the time your code is running for that particular moment. And once your code is over, you will be paying for only that particular thing. No need to worry about all this scaling part. So those are the beauty or advantages of your serverless architecture. Now this was your at very high level serverless architecture.
And just to add, Rajiv, again, so whenever we are talking about the PaaS service, even if we are starting a PaaS service, it takes some time to start some other instances. So
Correct.
in that way also that serverless architecture is far better than the other PaaS service and multiple IaaS service.
Yeah, so to the previous slide, I'm going to the previous slide. The code definition you can see, serverless compute is a fully managed service, and sometimes it is referred as a function as a service. And your serverless compute, it comes in a compute and it reacts to your event. It is fully event driven and it reacts to your event or a reaction. A reaction in the sense any real time events or trigger, it will react, and then you can go and opt for serverless architecture. It is also triggered by virtually any event from Azure service or any third-party services as well. Now, as we discussed parallelly, like the benefits of serverless, of course, the one of the important point which a developer is concerned is now they have to only focus on your business logic. No need to worry about this auto scaling part or selecting which app service plan we have to go for and so on. So, and there is another feature called as reduced DevOps. So generally when we develop our application in your PaaS platform, we always consider for CI/CD, and we go and configure or do a setup for DevOps like CI/CD. So here it says like it is a very faster time to market. Like you do a coding and then you say run, it is already deployed. No need to host this or build this particular thing in a particular app plan or something. You have to initially configure and you have to build and run. So there are different aspects which we'll discuss. The good part for Azure Function is you can do a development locally, you can run in on-premises or cloud, and or you can directly do a coding or configuration in Azure portal, which we'll see in the demo, and you can deploy over it. Deploy in the sense you simply say run, it has been configured and taken care by Azure. So in this way your effort for DevOps setup, which was an essential part in PaaS, now it has been eliminated now. So that is one of the another benefit. And faster time to market in the sense you have very less time. I mean, you do a coding, you run it, and it is configured, and you no need to worry about your scaling part and other stuff. So those are the advantages of your serverless architecture. Do you have any questions? Okay. Now let's concentrate on this particular side for a while, and let's see what are the different components a serverless architecture and serverless application platform components consist of. Now, the example which we had a question like what are the examples. So the examples or platform you can say is Azure Functions, which we have given an introduction just now. Logic apps, which we covered in our previous sessions, and the new term which I'll give a brief at the end of the session, event grid. So these are the three platforms which Microsoft has considered as of now. Initially Microsoft was thinking to bring many of the components in this particular platform, but right now till date they have released these functions, logic apps and event grid in their serverless architecture. And we'll go and see this tooling part, binding and triggers, open source, how it is open source, and how to do this in Azure portal when Sada will be giving demo. Logic apps we have seen. We have a visual designer where we can do a workflow. It is 100 connectors, but now we know it is 180 plus connectors we have. We have functions, orchestration as well in logic apps. And event grid is something like it manages all the event in one particular place. For example, in one use case scenario, if you have to use functions or logic apps, you can use event grid and then you can route these use cases for Azure function and logic apps. So there is a universal thing. They have given a uniform thing as an event grid where you can manage different events over there. We'll talk a bit event grid at the later stage. So these components, these three components, it will be using some other components also, like in order to complete your solution. Maybe your functions or logic apps or event grid, they can go ahead and use your data or storage for storing your messages, maybe in blob or tables. They can also integrate and use your messaging part. They can pull the data from messaging, or they can retrieve the data from your data storage. They can also work with the data gateway connectors in logic apps cases. They can also work with the intelligence and bots. So they can integrate with all these components, your serverless architecture. Now coming to your left side, we have different development platforms, like you can do a development in Azure Development Portal, or you can do in Visual Studio. You have debug history, you can debug and those things. You can do a local development. Local development, it applies only for Azure functions, not for logic apps. In Azure functions, you can do a local development. You can host and run. When I say local development, you can host and run this Azure function in on-premises as well. And you can, of course, you can host it, I mean, you can run it in Azure. And there are certain features for debugging as well. So these particular components are used for your serverless application platform. Do you have any questions in this particular slide? Okay, so these are the overall picture. You can say what is this serverless application platform, what are the different components we are going to use, and then provide a solution. Now let's deep dive for your Azure functions. So as I said, like Azure function, you have some code and it will be triggered on some event or data. So these two combines your Azure functions. So Azure function is an event-based serverless computing.
Rajiv,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. So
Yeah.
we do have again one question from Manav Govinda. That are all connectors belong to serverless? So do you want to take this question?
So what is the question? Are
Yeah.
all?
Okay. His question is that you have told that we do have 180 connectors in logic apps. So does it all belong to serverless?
So connectors in the sense it is a part of your logic apps. So logic apps is of course your serverless architecture. So to answer that, I mean, of course these connectors are there, so that also you can see it seems like it is serverless, because logic apps generally it is said serverless and it has different connectors. So the idea behind is, once you are using these connectors in logic apps, so you remember Piyush, so we had a discussion in the beginning, coming to the details for everyone to understand this concept of logic apps and connectors, whether your connectors is your serverless or not. So if you have configured your logic apps application and you have also configured your connector, you are not going to pay anything over there. That remember this particular point. So for example, Twitter you have configured, I mean in logic apps you have connected the Twitter connector, you are not going to pay for that particular time. Once there is an event and the event is coming and you are processing that, then only for that particular action you are going to pay. Okay, so that is one thing where this serverless architecture works. I have to double check this whether all these connectors comes in that particular category or not, but I have gone through and I have as per my understanding, I would say like these all these connectors also belong to a serverless architecture or serverless.
So,
Do you want to add
Rajiv,
something?
yeah, Rajiv, Rukhsar here. So, connector is nothing but to connect the two different services. So, it is not like a deployment. Like when we connect to a database, we create a SQL connection. So, it is just connecting two different services. So, it is
Correct.
not deploying anywhere. You can create your custom own connectors, right?
Yeah, correct.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah, so it is like something like adapter. Those who are coming from integration background, like we had initially in BizTalk on prem, we had different adapters, right? So the similar concept is here also. It is like the name has been changed and it has been called as a connector. Although for MuleSoft and other integration, they call it connector only, but for the first time, Microsoft has called connector in Azure term, but in BizTalk they used to call adapter. Yeah, you're right. Do you have any other questions in that aspect?
So the similar thing only that Hassan has written, Sadaf has also written it, that it's an API to connect to the particular services.
Yeah.
So that is a connector basically.
Yeah, correct. So it is, I mean, in one word, like it is the previously, just to understand, it is like an adapter in BizTalk on-prem. Yeah. So okay, let's move to this Azure function. So we are talking about the definition. How do you define this Azure function? So Azure function is an event-based serverless compute experience that helps you accelerate your development. Runtime is open. I mean, the function code that can be executed in your VM or somewhere else, maybe or your on-prem or in cloud. So that is why it is said your runtime is open. And yeah, so this is one of the definition of your Azure function, and this Azure function which we are talking right now is your stateless. There is another term where Microsoft has also introduced a stateful function which is called as durable function, which is in preview as of now, and it is actually an extension of Azure function and Azure web jobs that let you write your stateful function in a serverless environment actually. So they are going to give a new feature in serverless architecture only. Your durable function will be working as a state. It will be having some state as well, and by doing this you can achieve your long running orchestration. If you have to do a long running in workflow or Azure functions, you can use durable functions. So that is only a add-on, like what kind of functions we have in Azure. So right now we are concentrating on only Azure functions which is stateless. Do you have any questions?
So, I have just a doubt I want to clear here, or maybe you have just better understanding. In case of Azure function stateless, if there is no request for 5 minutes, it is shut down, right? When the next request come to the Azure function, it is again initiate and deploy runtime. If, for example, I am using some HTTP context cache inside a function, so should I get that value if I make a request before the 5 minutes?
Oh, okay, sorry.
For example, I have make request to the function, and inside a function I have write code like this. I am storing something in HTTP cache, context cache
Okay.
inside a function. If I make request before the 5 minutes, because function is already active, instance is already active, should uh, will I get that value from the cache, or it will again set value in cache?
So to answer, there is one concept like idempotent is one particular term where still you can work in a serverless and stateless architecture for your Azure functions, but you can have your state, your own state for HTTP and all. So this thing I'm going to discuss in design patterns, like what is the best practices. So it is recommended like you follow, like you don't maintain any state for Azure functions, but in the case if you want to maintain some state, you maintain outside this particular Azure function, and you can do that. It could be with state or without state, but your Azure function will be working as a stateless only. So there is a way to do that, which we'll discuss and explore in upcoming slide.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. So okay, moving to next thing, like in this particular part only, let's explore in details. Like as I said, in serverless architecture, you get more speed. More speed in the sense auto scaling is always there. We don't have to worry about that. As Microsoft Azure has promised, like you can within a seconds you can go from zero to thousands of instances and all, and you should not get any performance issues or any other problem for your Azure functions or any serverless deployment. Event driven, as we said, it reacts on the event. Reduced DevOps, so that we have discussed in our previous slides. Accelerated development, you can do in different languages. We have different options: Node.js, C#, some other languages. They have also introduced your Java also recently. We can do a development with Java as well. Local development, as I said, you can do local development use in your Azure functions, and you can even run this. You can experience this Azure function in on-premises as well, or your VM, or directly on the cloud. Bind into services, so these are the components you can bind this particular services, and it can easily communicate with these particular components and services. Now this is what I was talking about. Let's discuss about the best practices, where we can discuss about in details what we had last question. So it is said, since it is a stateless, the idea is once it is a stateless, you can do a better scaling, and that is the main idea or architectural design behind your stateless architecture. You have to not worry about the state, where to put this state, and in that particular way your scaling will be always better or faster. Okay, let's see. I mean, function, you should always think of, let's do only one thing in one function and try to finish this function as quickly as possible. Let's avoid this nested function call in one function only. We can have different functions calls. In case you are going for that, it is advisable that you go and use your durable functions. Functions should be stateless, as I said. Your logic apps, all these are stateless. But since there is a requirement, as we got a question like whether we can do or not, so there are answer yes and in no format. In case for HTTP case, you said like we have to achieve that particular point, so you can answer in a way like your Azure function will be still running in a stateless, but you can have your own some custom, you can manage your custom state and all, which is called your we say like function should be idempotent, or alternatively we can go and explore these durable functions where we are going and maintaining state. So I'm giving one more example like in details, since we have got a question on this particular idempotent. It is said like, for example, we are doing order processing and would like to have an associated state member. Maybe this order processing is coming from HTTP or any manner, and it has some state member. We are going to maintain this particular state. So now what it is recommended, like a function could process an order based on that particular state, but let's functions remain stateless. And so that is the one idea behind this. So going to your question, you can achieve this design like this particular way. You can do that. I also need to check how to achieve this, or the alternatively you can go and use durable functions over there. So this is the programming model best practices we should consider when we are designing or working with your Azure functions. Any questions on this particular slide? Okay, moving to next. We are near about to cover this theoretical part, then we'll move to demo. So before that, let's also consider, like we said, we'll be covering Azure function with logic apps. So how we can combine this Azure functions with logic apps? So these are the only features I am considering over here. Like what are these two offerings of serverless architecture? We have another one also called as event grid, but event grid is only used to segregate these two particular serverless architecture. So these are the features at very high level. We can use these both and provide a powerful solutions. Now let's go to the most interesting part, and let's spend some time on what are the use cases and where we should go and use this Azure functions, which is an interesting part. And here also we'll answer like how do you architect your applications. So now you can see real-time stream processing. In case you have millions of devices, the first image I'm talking about stream analytics and all. So in this particular case, you can use your Azure functions. You can transform your structural data and you can give output to your any storage or queue or as per your requirement. So real-time stream processing you can perform using your Azure functions. Timer based processing, once you create Azure functions, it gives options like what kind of event you are going to take. So timer based is one example where you can take your every 15 minutes you have to add something. So instead of using your web jobs or earlier we had Windows services, right, where we have to go and constantly check like or you have to run that. Instead of that, every 15 minutes your Azure function can be triggered and you can do any activity and you can perform certain particular operations. So that way you can do. Mobile also, in that particular case you have taken a photo and you want to do a webhook call, you can call your Azure function, you can do your operations, your Azure functions, which can be written in C#, Java or JavaScript, and then you can perform your action, you can give your output. Real-time bot messaging also you can do. So these are the common. So think of any events that you need to respond, you can use your Azure functions. Coming to some more examples where we can use Azure functions, like for example, any event like a file has been added to a blob storage. So that is an event for you. You can write something in your Azure function, you can do a transformation, whatever you want to do, and then you can integrate with your Power BI. You can push this message to Q or SQL or whatever. Similarly, you can also cover your SAS event processing. Like the same way, Excel file has been saved to a OneDrive, that is an event for you, or a reactive model. You can use your Azure function and you can do some operations over there. In your serverless web application, you can perform this. Like for example, you can load your page. You have to call your webhook. You can call that function and you can perform operations. In our use case and demo scenario, we are going to cover one simple Azure functions and one Azure function with logic apps. So this is the fourth image where suppose you are getting a order messages. Maybe you can take an example like you have some order date which is coming as a HTTP, and in logic apps before it comes or it triggers, the action can be performed by your function where you change your date format to another format and then you pass this to service bus queue. So this is one example where you can use Azure function, but you can think at very large scale, like there are different other areas also where you have to react to an event. You can use your Azure function in logic apps once you are designing a large workflow and all. So this is all about your use cases where to use your Azure functions, and we saw how to use your Azure functions inside your logic apps. Do you have any questions in use cases, or how do we architect this? Okay, I'm moving to our next slide, which is again a very interesting part. Like once we say serverless architecture, it cannot be completed unless we talk about your event grid. So as I said, you can see the first image where we are getting some input from your .NET client, and maybe the use case or requirement could be you have to perform few actions, like maybe you have to perform some workflow using logic apps, and you have to send some email, and at the same time you have to also use your Azure function or maybe this Azure function in your logic apps, and you have to send this message or data to your message queue and all. So you can do separately also, but Microsoft has come with the new approach which they called as a event grid, which is now available from August 16 2017. So what they came with a new approach, it is with a event grid, it is your fully managed event routing service actually, which is of its first kind. What Microsoft is thinking of now is serverless architecture. They are focusing more on that because that is a new thing for saving money for your customers, and that is attracting customer a lot. Now customer is also demanding, okay, let's go and use this particular model. So in this context, this is the latest release from Microsoft as an event grid. So it is actually a routing service where you have many publishers, like you can trigger this on the basis of an event like blob, resource group, maybe Azure subscription or event hub or any custom topic. And to handle this, you have different event handlers, like for example Azure Functions, Logic Apps. You can do as well with Azure Functions and webhooks as well. So this is what the idea behind is, like they are giving a routing service where you are going to simplify your development of event based application, and you can do a routing very easily. You can, in a single service, you can manage all your routing of events from source to destination very easily. So this is the idea behind your event grid. So do you have any questions in this regard?
So Rajiv, what is the use of webhooks?
Yeah, good. So webhooks, Sada, we want to add on. Sada will be showing on demo. So I've been talking a lot. So I will be handing over to Shadab, where he will be showing this particular example, like in which case we are going to use webhook. Sure.
Thanks, Rajiv.
Yeah. So I can see a echo. Can you go and mute? So I'm giving control to Sadab. You're the presenter. Okay, Shadab, handing over to you.
Thanks, Rajiv. So now we are moving to the Azure demo, and will most of the things, whatever the Rajiv has told, it will be covered during the demo. It will be while we'll do the demo, and moving to the Azure demo. So this is the first programming model which we use generally, where we can introduce like the C#. We can write the code in the C#. We can write the code in the JavaScript, Node.js. So all these functions we can use. So functions, what it does basically, you can utilize the small coding part, like what you do in the SQL functions, what you do in the .NET functions. Just you write a small piece of code and that get executed, and then you get an output, and then you utilize that output in your somewhere in the code. So like this, we can write a small set of code. Basically, in Azure Functions, you can build your nano services. So you heard web services, WCF services. There is a concept from microservices also. Now here we comes with the nano services. So a small piece of code which you can execute independently, and that you can run, and just you call, and whatever the time you execute the program, that much we will be using. So this is the just a screen where it has put it how you can write in the C#, how you can write in the your somewhere in the Java, and those things you can go ahead and write. So there are some triggers and bindings which is available with the functions, like what triggers, like how how we can go for the triggers. There are like some schedules like HTTP webhooks. So basically, the Piyush has asked, what is a webhook? Webhook basically it's a call, HTTP call to the like functions or any web service. So it's hit the web service and you get the response back from the particular service. So that will be exposed as a service which you will be getting a request response, like which we can utilize in your application. Like that can be accessed in from the on-premises also, like existing your, if you have the application running in your system, you can directly call as a post request and you can hit the URL and get the response. So like simple service you can create it. So these are some triggers are available. There are some inputs columns are also there. So input column are basically from that you can give an input to your functions. Output you can achieve from everywhere except the schedule thing. You can get the output from the functions. So these are the basically triggers and bindings which is available. So we'll see this in the demo part, so it will be more clear for you. Okay, let's move to demo.
So you can highlight from 5 o'clock there was one problem.
So I'm just going to the portal.azure.com. I don't want to give a much on the slide because that's a code which we have put it there. So just logging to portal.azure.com. And how we can create a functions, like you can go to the new. We have a web plus mobile. You can go ahead to web plus mobile, and then it's not available here, so you can go on, click on see more, and then you will see the function app. So you just click on function and click on so the blade will open where you have to give your function app details. Here the build is available, like whatever the function name to give, that should be the unique on your particular domain, azurewebsite.net. So I am just giving my function app. So it's first October. So it's available. This is my subscription which I'm using, Microsoft Visual Studio Dev Essential subscription. Here I have to give a resource group name. Already you know that this is the logical container where you can combine all your application in one resource group. If you delete the resource group, it will delete all the application which is exist in the inside the resource group. Here the beauty which Rajiv was saying, that serverless. Now here you have the two things, consumption plan and app service plan. What is consumption plan? Consumption plan, if I select the consumption plan and then I create this logic and this function, so it means you don't have to worry how much memory you need, how much server RAM you need, how much space you need. Nothing to worry. If you select the consumption plan, Microsoft itself will give you the resources. If you want to execute a function for a longer period of time, Microsoft will allocate more resources to your function. If you don't give the resource, they will not give resource to your function app, and you will pay whatever you consume. How much time you will execute, that much you will be paying. Another thing, there is an app service plan. What is app service plan? Like if you are already having the website and you are using an app service plan for that particular website or any mobile application. So if you go and develop your mobile app or web app, so you will be selecting app service plan. You will define that I need a 2 GB RAM, I need this much resources, and those things you will define. So what that means, if you put your function with that link with that app service plan, means your function is restricted to that particular app service plan. So you will be having that much memory, that much RAM and everything. So if you are going beyond that, what you have to do, you have to go and increase your app service plan. So you'll be end up paying them more money for that particular thing. So let's suppose that you have 10 functions and one function is consuming more resources and 10 functions are using less resources. So you will be end up paying more money. So you have to decide what plan you have to choose. Then you have to choose what location you will be deploying this. So I'm choosing the Central India. This is a storage. What is a storage means? You will be creating a function file. So where that will be stored. So it will be a storage will be somewhere in the blob storage or somewhere it will be kept. Your file will be kept there. So I think it's clear now. Consumption plan and app service plan. This is the basic thing you have to decide while creating a function app. And then go ahead and click on create. So any question if you have, you can raise the question by the time it's getting created. So it's take 30 seconds to 1 minute approx.
Just to update, like we tried this creating Azure functions at 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So we were facing some issues like it was not able to create Azure functions. So we'll see whether it is being created or not. I just checked it is working. So let's see whether we are lucky or not. So it was a bug from Microsoft Azure only, like it was not able to create Azure functions, the new Azure functions. So just an update, Shadab.
Yes, thanks, Raju.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Raju.
So do we have any question till now? What all things we have covered? Any open question? Anyone wants to add something?
Can you explain the app service plan again? Because can you just elaborate that app service plan?
See, app service plan, like when you go and create a website or mobile application, you select a app service plan over there. So if you want to see, I can show you. Go to mobile web app. See, here we have the app service plan. Create new. Now these are the app service plan.
So in case of the consumption, sorry to interrupt. So in case of consumption, when we make request or we consume the resources, in that case we need to pay only. But in case of the app service plan, we are using or not using, we supposed to pay. Is that correct? My understanding?
Yes, correct. So app service plan, if you already having website, you can go ahead for the app service plan, and you think that your function will not go beyond that app service plan and you will not be like consuming more resource which you have allocated. So it's fine. You can go ahead with the app service plan. So you'll not be paying anything extra for the function. So if you link with the app service plan.
Okay. And for example, inside a function app also we have the multiple function. So it might be possible some function using REST is utilizing REST resource, some function is using heavy resource. So how the resource is managed inside app service plan?
App service plan, if your resources are utilizing more, so it will be inside your app plan only. So what you have to do, you have to increase your app service plan, or you have to like set a threshold. You can define those things, like if it's going more than 60% of resources, then it will automatically increase your resources. So that you can define in the app service plan. But you will be end up of paying more money, like it's not sufficient 1 GB, you need 2 GB. So what will happen? The charges will be more. But only for the one function, like one particular for the 1 minute, like your function will not execute more than 1 minute or something. So for the 1 minute, you have to increase the resources, and you will be end up of paying more. Again, you have to go back and you have to reduce the plan, because if you keep it that plan, you will be paying more. So if you go with the consumption plan, you don't have to worry that it will go, it will hit the function, it will utilize the resource and come back on the same stage where you are.
Yeah, just to add on, it's better to go for serverless only, plan, because the idea is like that only. You pay for your education time only. But if you feel your service plan is underutilized and you can cover your Azure Functions education as well, billing as well, you plan it and then you can use your app service plan. So that is the one idea behind keeping these two consumptions mode for functions and serverless architecture. But better go for serverless, consumption basis.
Okay. So coming to the demo part. So this is our
1 minute.
Yeah.
So just to add to Ruxar. So Ruxar basically is very simple. It is something like web app and web job. So you remember that what we were doing, the web job and web app, they work under the same service plan, and they go ahead and adjust between two of them, or they go ahead or increase or decrease it. So at the place of web job, probably they are using the Azure functions over here. So same only, auto scaling, everything is same only, the same concept which you are applying over here.
Plus, it is event based. It reacts on the event, your serverless, more your actions and events. It works in that particular fashion. Your Azure function and logic apps.
Thanks. So I'm moving to the demo part. So this is the resource group which I have created, that RG my function app 31st October. So inside the resource group, I have this is the resource group is the combination having the my function app and my storage account and app service plan, which I have created, which I have selected the consumption plan. So it is at the it will create a consumption plan for your app service. Like here also you will be having app service, but this is based on the consumption plan. So it will automatically scaling. You don't have to worry about that. So coming to the function app and develop your function app. So here comes the functions. You can stop, you can restart, you can download the publishing profile, you can refresh the credentials, those things you can do it. So coming to the function, you can click here to add your function. So here comes the function provides a scenario like you can create a webhook or API, like this is your HTTP calls which will be provided to you, and this is the timer based, like I want to run a particular timer, this function on a particular time. So it will start on that particular time, and it will create like what we create in our Windows services, like schedulers and all. So those you can define. Another thing is the data processing, like if you want to call a SQL something with the data, or you are getting a data from the particular SQL and you are doing some job, so that SQL processing you can do. Coming to the language, we have the C#, JavaScript, F#, and Java. So these are the provided by the functions and supported. So just I select the Java and try to create a function. If it creates, our luck is good, yes. So this is what not happening from the evening, which I was trying to click on create, and then it's just coming back on the same screen. If it opens, come on. Yes. So by default, I selected a JavaScript. So it has given a by default a JavaScript code for me. So basically, this is the function I'm creating, and this is the context.log. So it writes my log in the logs, and then I'll be having name as a query parameter. I'll be passing and printing hello and the name. And if else, it error, like if any parameter is missing, so it will come to the else part. So you can directly click on save and run. So if you run, so basically here you have right side, you have the test window. So basically this is the we are doing a post HTTP method. And one thing you have to just remember that function always receive a JSON request. So this is a JSON request which I am passing that name equal to Azure. So it's printing hello Azure. And here we have the logs. So welcome, you have connected to the Azure streaming services, and this is the function started, and JavaScript HTTP function has requested, and then success. So this is the logs which you can see. And if I'll change here, name is Shadab, and then I click on run. So it's hello Shadab. So this is a simple like one function which I create. Like also you can do if like as I have selected HTTP hook, so I have a URL available for me to post from the website. So anywhere you can go. So basically, this is your this is my function app name which I have created .azurewebsite.net, and this is my function name. So HTTP trigger JS1. So if you see, this is my function name, and this is my function app. Okay, and then you will be having this code, unique code. So from the access from the public site, you will be having always like one code, so that you have to share with the any client, and then he can access name equal to Rajiv. So hello Rajiv. So this is the beauty which the simple function which you have deployed, and this is the like example. You can say also the function app is called as nano services. So this you can do, you can achieve using our URL. So this is the one example of simple starting with function app. So coming any question as of now? So I'll be moving to another part, like creating a link, how to connect your logic app with functions. So that will be next example we'll be giving.
Yeah, demo number 2.
So coming to the new, so you can go to the web and mobile. You have logic app here. So this is not unique to your domain. So this will be inside your particular subscription, and subscription I have put it in resource group. Okay, and go ahead and create logic app. Okay. Any questions on it? Okay, so it's allocate resources for logic app. Okay, so moving to the resource group. So this is my logic app demo. So here, what I'm trying to do, I'll just this I have already shown this. If you want, I can repeat this again. So this is logic app designer which we have, and here we have so many connectors and templates available. So connector is nothing. It's connecting to the particular application. It's API, and today I'm going to use like trigger-based events, recurrence I want to use. So I want to do a daily call. Interval is daily 1 per day I want. So here you have more advanced setting. You can select a time zone like India timing, what time you want to run, 10 o'clock morning. I want to run this particular logic app. So those you can define it here. There is more parameters are available. So I'm defining daily per day. I want to call my function. So add action. Write a function. Just search here. You will get Azure function. Click on Azure function. Okay. So here, whatever the two, this is my old function and this is my new. So here inside the Azure function, you can create a new. So here it's coming that create a new function. Once you create click on create new function. This is the input. Actually, I don't want to give input. So I'm giving a blank JSON body. And then click on next. So it's asking for code. So this is my code. I'm trying to do here. This is just a simple JavaScript, and actually I'm getting a current date. Based on the current date, I'll find the day name, and I'll get the day name, and then I'll push the message like, "Hello world, this is Logic app. I hope you have a great day, and today is the Tuesday." So it will post this message. You'll create a body for me. So what I want to do with this, so I'll just click on create. It's asking the function name. So I'll give a day. October, and just click on create. Okay, and now next step, what I want to do, I'll post this message in Twitter. So this is the Twitter connector. So I want to connect to Twitter, and you have some actions. What you want to do in the Twitter? You want to post a tweet, you want to follow us, you want to get followers, you want to get something else. So there are some actions are available. So with the Twitter connector, you have, I want to post this message to the Twitter. So this is asking me to connect to the Twitter. So I'll just authenticate with the Twitter account. And if this is my username, password, I'll authorize Logic app to post any message or connect to my Twitter. What I want to tweet, I want to give a body. So whatever it's executing per day, and my function will give a return body like hello world, this is Logic app, and then you will post this to Twitter. You can do anything. You can store in the SQL. You can call anything else. You want to do, you want to send mail. You can do anything. Just time click on save and click on run. Come to the overview. So first run itself, it was success, I think. So this has been executed, and then a status code. So it's getting a hello world, this is Logic app. So this is the message which I'm getting, and it's posted on the tweet also. And I think I have clicked on 2 times, and then second time it will fail because the same tweet you can't post. So I think it will give the error that you can't post the same tweet. So let's check in the Twitter if it's posted. So this is my tweet. So this is just now 44 seconds before it was posted. Hello world, this is Logic app. I hope you have a great day. So this is how you can link your Logic app function with your Logic app. So what happens, it goes and it sits inside your resource group, or same resource group, same function app which I have selected. Inside that function app, it will create another function for you, and basically you link those functions inside your Logic app. So this is the second example. I think Piyush, if you permit for 10-15 minutes, I want to show something else.
Yeah, go ahead. Hope everyone is okay with that.
Okay, so I have another demo of like if it's work out, I'll be able to create template. Okay, now for the, like, if you are you can create a C# code also. So I just wanted to create a function. So basically what I want to do here now, I want to remove a dollar from my incoming message. Okay, so this is by basic scenario which we do in integration environment like pipeline component, Bitstock guy. If you know about some integration platform like Bitstock, which we develop a pipeline component, and basically we'll go and remove some dollar or a special character from the incoming message. So that also we can achieve using a function. So this is basically first, this is a C# code which I have written. So this is a #r. #r is nothing but importing a DLL inside your application. Like you add a reference, right click, add reference or some DLL. So this is adding a reference. This is JSON format, JSON DLL which is there. So it supports the JSON formats and all. So basically I'm adding system.net, so system JSON, system link. So these are the .NET codes I have written. Then log.info. What is log.info? It's right in the basically we generally write in the event viewer. So now I am writing this message in the log file. So basically you will be having log inside your function also. Getting the data from the message, and then we're converting to the JSON string. And JSON basically in XML you have the X path, and in JSON you have the JSON path. So it's here we don't go for the like namespace and all. JSON is not bothered about the namespace. It's more on the structure of how your structure is defined, so that we want to get a price from that particular message, and then we'll log the price, and then we'll replace the dollar symbol if it's available in the price, and then we'll again put back to the message, and then we'll give the JSON value back to the response. So this is a simple scenario which I want to create, and then click on save. So once it's saved, I have to test it here. So so this is a JSON message which is there. So this is my JSON message, like I have the namespace and all, and then I have the item name, I have the unit price, I have the price with $128. What happens if I run it? So here you can say, welcome, you have connected to the log streaming services, and then new trace, compilation success, price is $, function completed. So those logs you can check. What happens here? I have to just scroll a bit. Price is 128. So this is also returning a JSON. So always you have to remember this JSON. Function will accept your JSON format, and you have to give a JSON input, and it will be returning a JSON output. So this is the basic example which I want to show how you can achieve your pipeline component or some custom defined application like logics in the and the same way, like which I have called other function, you can call this function also inside the logic app. You can have a request response there, and then you can call this function. So you will be sending a request to your logic app, then logic app will call the function, and it will get the response message, and you can pass it to the different system or SQL or anywhere you want to store. So that also you can achieve using this function. So that's it as of now from my side. Also, I have another thing, like you can have XML output also. Let me show you this also. The same function. Like now, coming people will say like till now I have used XML. Now I have to use a JSON. So that also you can achieve it. So now what I am doing here, so we are again accepting a JSON only, and then I'll convert that message to XML document, and I'll reply with the XML message. So that also you can do it. I think I have saved it, and then if you click on run, see the output I'm getting in XML format. So that also you can do it as per your requirement if the company is saying that no, I have to deal with the XML also. And this also, this function also, like input also you are getting in XML. That also you can achieve it using the logic app. If logic app is someone is sending a message in XML format, so logic app in logic app also you can, while calling this function, you can like cast in your JSON this XML in the JSON format inside the logic app also. The people will not think that they are playing with the JSON. So they will just send the XML, and you just cast that JSON format into XML, and you cast that XML into JSON, and then you call the function, and then function also will be returning the XML. So this is what the scenario you can achieve using the functions. I hope I have clear. So if you have any question regarding the demo, you can ask it. for the security reason also you have I have shown the key while calling. You can have the key and all, so that also you can have it. So this is the secret key which you can you have the blob storage and all. So those security is already there. You don't have to worry about this. So that is not like someone can call the function and all. So the key has to be shared with them. So this is what we have as of now. So any questions? Hope the scenario was clear and I was able to convince.
Yeah, thanks, Sarav. It was really a wonderful demo. Like you exceeded the expectations. Actually, you shown some more demos in Azure Functions. So yeah, we can have some question and answer from everyone.
Yeah, we can see a question from Jayan. The question is that now Azure or any cloud technology is moving towards to make development easy. Serverless logic apps, many other things which are making developers task easy, and there will be no management of servers. And so, how will infrastructure guys will survive?
Yeah, yeah, great. Don't worry, yeah. You will also survive. On-premises Bestock guys will also survive. It is not going to remove completely, right?
Yeah,
It is not
so
going to
I
remove.
will just give the answers. You see, it's very simple. So question is something like this, that on-premise guy will say that I am a on-premise DBA or I am a normal .NET developer. How will I survive when everything is in getting done in cloud? So now the .NET developers is becoming a cloud developer. On-premise DBA guy is becoming a cloud DBA guy, or the infra guy has become a cloud infra guy. So definitely when that definitely now the time is there that Azure is driving and Azure is doing pretty good in PaaS. So definitely the infra guide also has to improve themselves, and they can also speed up and bring up to the speed, and everyone can survive.
Correct. And one more thing, uh, Microsoft will need this infrastructure guide. If I'm saying serverless, it doesn't mean there is no server, right? They are provisioning these servers and all. I mean, the way these microservices are also working. In inside, I mean, we say like, for example, can you mute? For example, we say in PaaS, like we need a Azure SQL, and that's it. It has been provisioned, but in the background, something is happening, right? So they need to know how this once we are taking one particular tier, they have to allocate these servers and all. And in the background, of course, these data centers will be running, right? This function itself is running somewhere. But yeah, we are not managing as a developer. We don't have to worry. But in the background, something is happening, right? So nothing to worry. Just to add on that point.
So always will be required infra guys, because that infra has to be get maintained. So always when
Yeah,
we
of
are
course.
doing it solutioning, definitely will be having a person from the infra team, and everyone will be having their own contribution. So everyone will be surviving and winning the game.
Yeah, Piyush, I guess there is
Yeah.
no more
So
questions.
thanks Raji for the wonderful demo presentation, and Sadaf for the demo. So do we have any questions related to today's discussion? So Ruksar is thanking us, and thanks everyone for joining it. And do we have any feedback or closing comment to us to improve?
Just to add on, if you have any questions related this, you can keep on posting on the Telegram group so that we can try to answer those questions. So
Yeah, of
there
course.
and
Yeah, yeah.
so just a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
correct.
the Govindas
Thanks.
thanks all three of us, and everyone thanks for joining it. Sorry we have got delayed it. It is still, it was a nice discussion, good learning. It is help us, really helped us. Thanks Mana Govind. Thanks everyone. Bye. Good day. Good night.
Thanks, thanks. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Thanks. Bye.